Hey everyone, welcome to Idle Time Production Podcast with Matt and Jeanita. Today we're going to talk a little bit about a topic we got discussing this morning about being authentic to self and being genuine, and how we've both kind of run into some instances lately with some frustrations on people that will say one thing and kind of do the other. Kind of that perception of two-faced or talking out of both sides of their mouth, where it's like, well, wait a minute. I don't necessarily think that's what your opinion was in that other conversation.
Yeah, and how and why people are like that. Like and not only that, but like the repercussions of being that way. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
not
almost
it's just unfair to everybody actually.
right. That kind of telling people what you think they want to hear versus what they need to hear, or just agreeing with them blindly, like, yeah, yeah, when you know you're not that way, or you know that you don't necessarily agree with that
Mhm.
action, that behavior, that topic, that whatever it may be.
So what do you think why do you think people aren't authentic?
Mm, I think maybe they're afraid to speak their voice or speak their opinion, especially if it differs. Kind of what we were discussing a little bit earlier, more of like a
Okay.
people pleasing, like telling people what they want to hear, or buttering them up, or just kind of
Mm,
stroking them type of a thing.
right. They're trying to avoid a war or
Like
a
ruffling, yeah,
disagreement
like
or
ruffling
whatever.
feathers, or, creating waves or anything like that.
Yeah. And I guess I can see a lot of people, take that stance of, well, I don't want to, cause a fight. But you know what? If you really look at it, that's like a dishonest to self.
Right.
Really. You can
Yeah.
try to lie to people, but you're lying to yourself. And what does that say about you?
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
And that's where we talk about not being genuine or not being authentic. It's you see people who will bitch about one thing, complain about one thing, and then they still subject themselves to that same behavior, but it's generally because they're trying to please somebody else, or they're doing it for someone else. And I get finding the balance, especially like in a
Hmm.
relationship, and like the give and take kind of a thing. But what I've
Right.
observed is more people just kind of taking things on like they're feeling like they're taken advantage of, or I don't ever get my way on things. And it's
Hmm.
because they're not choosing to do things for themselves. It's more just to please somebody else, or I'm doing this because everybody else is doing this.
Or be liked,
Right.
be not, yeah, just literally be
Yeah.
liked. Because somewhere I guess down the line they had lack of attention or lack of being liked or whatever. But and I'm pretty sure everybody would agree, you guys would agree, and I'm sure you would too, Matt, that would you rather be lied to or told the truth?
I like tell the truth, and stuff.
Yeah, like why?
Yeah, don't lie to me. You're lying to yourself if you're doing that.
Exactly. And truth will earn them more respect. Like,
Yeah.
we respect people to tell the truth, even if it's different from us. But yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people are scared uh do that for whatever reason,
Right.
whether it's deflecting from a war, or maybe they don't even know themselves enough to stand up for what they
They believe, they
they
actually
believe.
believe in. Yeah, like they don't know what they believe in. They just,
Yeah. And I guess if you're grown up or were raised all that way or been that way throughout your whole life, you really don't know yourself. You cannot be authentic. Huh, interesting. But yeah, it is a little bit frustrating. Um, yeah, so I wanted to know your thoughts on why they were or they would have to be that way.
right.
Um, okay, so because we are faced with people like that every so often, probably almost every day of our lives, you especially you, um, what would be your suggestion or advice to even maybe people who are looking that kind of find themselves in trying to people please in that way? How do you tell somebody to not people please, or how do you encourage them not to be fake? I guess.
I guess there's certainly tactful ways that you can, tell people you don't believe in what they're doing, or you don't agree with that, without sounding abrasive or combative, which I think is what you were saying most people fear is creating waves,
Mm,
starting a war, having somebody dislike them, where you can still stay genuine and authentic to yourself. If you don't agree with it, you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. I mean, there's there's certain things obviously you maybe feel you don't have a choice in,
Hmm.
but for the most part, if you don't like associating with somebody, you don't like the way things go in a certain activity or whatever, you don't
Hmm.
have to continue to subject yourself to it to please others, to if it doesn't please you, if it takes from you. So I guess my advice to get back to your question would be, is find tactful ways of excluding yourself from those things that, you would complain about, or find tactful ways of addressing what your concern is with somebody's behavior or how they treat you, or
Okay.
way that, like you look at something, kind of break it down for them. Um, they would, what your concern is maybe with the behavior or the action or whatever,
Hmm.
and then break it down as to your why and see if they can form a level of understanding.
Hmm.
And if they can, wonderful. If they don't, I mean, you can, it's not
There's
for,
really nothing you can do about that at that point because
right.
yeah,
You've
that's
spoke your piece and you've talked
yeah.
about what your concern is with whatever that item is.
And at the end of the day, you didn't fake it.
Right.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
and you'll see that a lot more people will respect you for that. And I really do agree with you in everything you said as far as like how to be that person is, I guess, a more of a form of understanding how to communicate. Because you really can do it in a tactful way without
Yeah.
being disrespectful to the other person or hurting them.
Right. And
Um,
without being contradictory of like what you really mean or the way that you feel,
yeah.
which is what we're getting into about not being authentic or being genuine is, but I think you touched on an important subject, of knowing yourself and knowing what
Hmm.
you enjoy, what you want to do. Like I said, what fills you up, what charges you up versus draining you. Um, Being able to differentiate and being aware of that,
Right.
and then making choices of knowing what serves you.
Uh-huh. And yeah, I 100% agree. Like I said, it is simple. Sometimes it's just a matter of words. You can disagree with somebody, but
Mhm.
like simply putting, I respectfully disagree goes a long ways.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I don't know, saying it so bluntly that everybody, it doesn't come off in a good way.
Right.
But when you say, I respectfully disagree, that makes a whole lot of difference, right? And I was trying to refrain from pointing at like you or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like from my understanding, or what I've seen and taught or understand it, I understand it this way. And if they are willing, like you said, to understand it, they will. If they don't, then there's really nothing you can do about it. Um, and the other thing that can happen is later down the road, it could happen. They call you and they're like, "Hey, you were right."
No, I do understand what you meant, or I saw what you were talking about, or,
Yeah.
you said this and now it makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, and it takes a lot of practice to go from pleasing people to really understanding how to
Yeah.
have a discussion with them.
Right. And don't get pleasing people versus, mixed up with taking care of people and looking out for people. I mean, you can still take care of self and still take care of others. It's kind of like, when they're on the airplane and they talk about you put on your mask first before assisting others. You make sure your cup's full, that you're taking care of yourself, and still take care of others,
Mhm.
but not in a people pleasing way of you are doing them a form of disservice by bullshitting them,
Mhm.
essentially,
Yeah.
but also being genuine and authentic and not bullshitting yourself.
Well, I did like your answer in like helping people be more authentic. Because at the end of the day, you just reap the harvest of being authentic,
Mhm.
right? You get the respect, you get you communicate, you get what you need to say out. Because if you keep it in, that does more damage to you.
Oh yeah, you bottle
As
it
far
up,
as
and everybody's. I'm sure all of our listeners and everybody else have been in that position where, yeah, you bottle it up, and then you're ready to blow, and it's like this isn't my shit.
yeah, and then you just kind of project it on people. It just goes in a bad way. So being authentic is really good and trying to voice what you want to in a respectful way,
Right.
and it can be done. So yeah, be authentic, guys.
Yeah,
It's not too scary, but at the beginning it might be. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about
great
that.
talking point.
Yeah, but yeah, you let us know what you think in the comments, what you think about that, the authenticity, how you come to be more authentic with yourself and with other people, um, and how you, yeah, just how you deal with it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. You can also find our contact information for social media in the link below. But as always, we appreciate it. And until next time, guys, we'll see you later.